Hello and welcome to the Late Word on Spurs. We are your award-winning Tottenham Hotspur podcast, and we are back. Yes, we are on the back of Tottenham Hotspur thumping, thrashing Aston Villa by 4-1 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. For those that are watching this show, they've just seen what Pat has had to go through for the last 2.5, 3 years there combined, with that unbelievable celebration there on this edition of Last Word on Spurs, as Richard Cracknell brushes the teeth.
Sorry, everybody. Sorry, but that second half, that Solanke chip and that Madison free kick was so filthy, I've just had to have a bath. Sorry, I'm just finishing off. Carry on.
It was amazing. And also, broadcast extraordinaire Russ Williams returns for his biggest win of the season today. Isn't that lovely? If you're with us for the first time, you can find us on iTunes. We're on Spotify. We're across all major audio platforms. We're, of course, on X. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook too. And in the words of Ange Postecoglou, you don't fall off cliffs and climb up mountains within a week. You have to go through bumps along the way, and it's how you address them and learn from them. And I've got to tell you, it's been a bloody good week. It has.
Oh,
right,
yes.
We're going to open, if we can, with the wonderful broadcast extraordinaire Russ Williams as Tottenham Hotspur simply blow Aston Villa away 4-1 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And another scintillating second half display. Sonny setting up Johnson to get started before Solanke showed his class. And James Madison rounding the game off in absolute style. For Tottenham, it means no team has scored more than Spurs in the Premier League this season, 22 goals. Second best goal difference, 11 plus. The only negatives, of course, is those injuries potentially are piling up. And look, you would expect on that basis to be a number of changes made for Galatasaray to come midweek. But Russ, take us away. A big win. Give me your feelings on that. Amazing, right?
Well, watching Spurs, as we all know, is often an appointment for misery. And I did think it was going to go that way again in the first half, but the second half, that's what we want. I mean, what a performance. One of the best halves of football this season that we've played. And this is the only thing. It's a Jekyll and Hyde, isn't it, with Spurs? We want less Jekyll and more Mr. Hyde. And that's what we got today, because I just thought it was a really good effort in the second half. We looked on our game. We were pressing on a different level. And Aston Villa, let's face it, are a good team, one of our rivals. They just couldn't cope. They really couldn't cope. We got the early goal in the second half. Dom Solanke, who runs and runs and runs and runs, man of the match, by the way, on the television. He got rewarded for all the effort that he puts in, because there is always a fear that if you come in with a big price tag and it doesn't work out, that people start saying, well, he could be a bit of a dud. But, I mean, he's a tremendous professional footballer. His first goal was a brilliant finish. Wonderful ball by Decky. And, we gave them a good hiding, Aston Villa, who've got a very, very good manager, some very good players, and they couldn't get going. They couldn't cope with the Spurs today. And that is exactly the sort of result we wanted off the back of Manchester City, and more importantly in the Premier League last week at Crystal Palace, when we were absolutely abject and embarrassing. So the challenge for the manager is how he can get a much more even keel on performances. But he's got to take a bit of credit today, even for the substitutions, because Sonny didn't look happy, did he, boys, when he went off? But credit to him. Richarlison came on, picked up an injury, but an assist. And he's another one who could possibly fall into the blimey, that was a bit of a waste of money category. Not Ndombele level, but, he hasn't really set fire to anything since he's come to Spurs, if we're really honest. So to see him doing better, everyone doing well, the fans, in the stadium, the Villa players, Rick was saying, it's as loud an atmosphere, that we've ever encountered when we're away from home. So that's brilliant. Everything just came together. And one final thought, Ben Davies. If your daughter came home with him and said, this is Ben, we're getting married, I think we'd all be quite happy.
I totally agree. Ben, we've always said, Ben, 6 out of 10, steady Eddie Ben Davis on this show. I'm going to steer the show if I can over to the wonderful chatty Patty, who finally, Patty, gets a chance to react on back-to-back wins on Last Word on Spurs. My God, the man. And for those that are on audio, they're missing Pat's epic celebration, can I say, in the background. The man has gone. He's gone in a great way. Patty, look, another impressive win, capped off by an outstanding week for Tottenham. We've responded so well since that abject defeat to Palace by dumping Man City out of the League Cup, of course, underlining their credentials in the Premier League, and then a thumping win over fellow top four hopefuls Villa. Look, I'm sure we'll agree, Dominic Solanke deserves the headlines, but a special word, I have to say, for Pat Matasar. Pat Matasar, who I think many of us will agree, Pat, I think now is at a point where you'd be really surprised if we're not seeing him feature more in the first team for Tottenham, because quite frankly, he's been absolutely superb in the impact he has made for Tottenham during these last couple of games. But, you know, for all on this point, I've got to say now, what is really important, Spurs have now conceded 12 less goals in the same respective fixtures last season, scored 2 more. And the crazy thing of all is that we're actually 10 points worse off than this stage last season, which doesn't really do justice as how much better we are as a team. And bar a 20-minute period against Brighton and the game against Palace, there's no doubt about it, this Tottenham team are improving under Ange Postecoglou. Patty, thoughts on the game, thoughts on the result, and all that came with it?
Yeah, that's for everyone that was at the stadium today. That's for all the players.
They were unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, the fans were fantastic. We were so loud in there. Everyone was up, singing, getting behind the team. And that was a brilliant performance, man. And Russ said he was worried after we conceded. I wasn't. I thought we were a much better team. Quite unlucky. I thought watching it in the stadium, obviously you don't get the luxury of replays. I thought Vicario got fouled on their goal. He didn't. It was just quite weak from him. So that is something he needs to get bigger and stronger at. When watching it back, when I got home, put on Sky Sports News, I was watching the highlights, and it was kind of pathetic from Vicario. You know, I don't want to be negative on him because he had a good game, made some key saves at key moments, but this zonal stuff, I'm not sure it's working for us, man. Like, we're conceding. The thing is, we're actually quite a solid defensive team now. Like, when I looked at all the stats, and I think we're the third or fourth, joint fourth in terms of goals conceded. We've conceded 11 goals. But it's obviously some of them have been quite comical or, you know, quite lapsed, and we keep switching off in the same moments. But other than that, Villa came into this game with only one agenda, and that was to time waste and hit us on the set piece or hit us on the corner. They offered nothing offensively, couldn't break us down. And then obviously we were doing all the work, but not really creating any clear-cut chances in the first half. Second half, we came to life, and then it was just night and day, man. And that's a good, I mean, as you know, Ricky, me and you were talking privately, and I said, this will be the litmus test for me. Villa are a team or thereabouts. You know, we're fighting them for third or fourth if we're really trying to push on. They're a good team with a good manager, well set, well drilled, good players in all positions, and we pretty much wiped them, blew them out of the park the same way we did at Villa Park last year. It's funny as well because when you look at the games that we've lost, we didn't deserve to lose against or draw against Leicester. We didn't deserve to lose against Newcastle. There's another one where I can't remember off the top of my head, but we didn't deserve to lose it, and we did. But this one today, we kind of set the demons like wrong for last week against Crystal Palace, and then obviously Man City in the week. That was a cup game. But this was a league game, and yeah, we came out, and I thought everyone was fantastic. For me, in the stadium, I thought Pat Matasar was the man of the match. I know they gave it to Dom. The thing is, this is what you love. When you have 3 or 4 players that all deserve man of the match, and you know your team was put in a good shift. Dragusin was fantastic, quietly went about his business. No one's really going to talk about it, but he was brilliant at the back. With him on the pitch, we're starting to win aerial duels. That, you know, for as good as Romero and Mickey van der Ven are, they're not that great in the air. Dragusin's a beast. Nothing goes past him. He clears all, you know, set pieces. Every time there's 50-50 in the air, he wins it. Solid on the ball. Pushing, it's funny because Romero is quite slow and laboured in the build-up, where Dragusin wants to push the ball and, you know, try and push the ball forward with quick passes. I thought he was brilliant today, man. And he's really knocking on that door. Like, when everyone's fit, he's really knocking on the doors to start ahead of either Mickey or Romero. I think he's that good. And then Pat Matasar was just energy, efficient, interceptions all day long, making the right passes. And it was his interception, I think, before the third goal, wasn't it, that really set us off. And I just think, yeah, he's looking better and better and better as the games are going on. And then Kulusevski's always got a moment of magic in him. And then Dominic Solanke just didn't stop working, man. Pressing from the front, gave his all. And when the time came to it, that chip was sublime, man. The finish, it was exquisite. Over Emi Martinez, who they're saying is the best goalkeeper in the world, 2 years in a row now. And he made him look foolish with that finish. Look at that, scintillating, sat him down. And yeah, that was lovely, man. And then obviously he got another goal as well. And then when Madison came on, and that's what you love to see. Madison, I'm sure he was annoyed that he was benched, but rightfully so when you look at the performances and what, we needed in the middle of the park today. But when he came on, he gave the coach something to worry about with that exquisite free kick. And I love the way he took it quite early. Emi Martinez wasn't set. And he made him look silly because Emi Martinez was rooted to the spot as the ball went in. And it was a good finish, but it wasn't top bin. So a goalkeeper should be getting that, if we're being honest. But yeah, Aston Villa, other than the goal that they scored, no shots on target. That tells its own story. So Ange got it right today, and I'm quite critical of Ange, as you guys know in the comments. So when he gets it right, fair play to him, man. Substitutions were right, team selection was perfect, and credit to him and the boys. Credit to him, and also credit to the boys for actually putting in a shift and actually looking like they want to be on the pitch and actually looking like they've got a point to prove. And for now, it's just about consistency, pushing on. Can we do this against the Ipswich? Can we do this against, the West Hams and the teams that we can beat on our day? But even if it's not our day, we need to get the points. And you can see the Premier League's so congested. Like, anyone can beat anyone, as we saw this weekend. So it's just about us being consistent. The goal difference is already looking quite healthy. Scored the most goals in the league. So slowly but surely, we're really starting to turn that wheel now.
We are indeed, we are. And I'm really glad you did bring up their Ange Postecoglou, because I've got to be honest with you, Patty, I think the balls that he showed to substitute Heung-min Son, the captain of the side, where many would have said, look, you need to keep Sonny on there. Of course, a goal scorer, bringing him off. And of course, it led to Spurs actually going on to win the game. And again, dropping James Madison beforehand. These are big, big calls to make as a manager. Maybe you'd argue some of previous managers Spurs have had maybe haven't been of the same mindset or the same belief to make those such big calls. But credit to Ange Postecoglou, I think he is showing that to any previous manager or, for Spurs fans in general, that he's not afraid to make big decisions when called upon. And Cracks, come over to you now. Look, I think it's fair to say for the most part of Ange's tenure, the starting 11 has more or less tend to pick itself. But it does feel like now we've got some real emergence of options now across the pitch. A huge second half for Tottenham. And just to put it into perspective again, 2 big home wins where everybody has contributed. That big victory now makes it 9 wins out of a possible 11 on the back of a week, which again, I mentioned that point, saw Spurs end Man City's 21 away game run and their unbeaten start to the season. And that's now in addition to beating an Aston Villa side who haven't lost away from home up until now this season and were unbeaten in the last 2 months. I mean, how big a win is that, Cracks? And how big has this week been in the context of Spurs' season for you?
It's been huge, Rick. He didn't make many changes against Man City, which is what a lot of us were calling for, to go strong. And then he's nigh on, I think he only made 3 changes from the game midweek to today. We went again and we've come up against a decent Man City side, albeit they used their squad, but still decent, and a very decent Aston Villa side. But the narrative, Rick, narratives and cliches and things that get rolled out, we're now 2 points behind the media darlings and Arteta and his 35-year project that he seems to be still going through. And we're 2 points behind them. We've took Aston Villa to church today, another team that just seem to be quite media darling at the moment because of what they've done and Unai Emery. And they got schooled today. The joint, are we the joint most goal scorers now? Are we? I think in the league,
top goal scorers in the Premier League. Top.
By one goal.
There you go. Okay. And last 2 seasons, Manchester City have come from behind, being 1-0 down 10 times to go on and win last season and this season. And guess who else has done that 10 times as well? I wonder who that might be. So this Spursy thing that keeps doing around, the stats just don't bear it out. They just do not bear it out. It's brilliant. There you go. Look, it's 27 points. So I'm failing to see how this is like souffle collapsing Spursy when the stats are just not there to back it. Look, you know, I'm not as much of a stat man as maybe some of the others that come on like Lee and what have you. But today we passed the eye test. This week we've passed the eye test as well, not only as a team, but so has Ange, because a few of us have been critical that he just plays one way. Been a little bit unsure of him as a manager, but on Wednesday and then today, we've seen somebody that's made big calls, that's changed things during games, that's starting to get things right, that is finding solutions to different problems that he's being challenged with. So, you know, hats off, credit to him. You know, I've been critical of him, but this last week, how can you be? How can you be? He's got it absolutely spot on. And he's worked miracles as a manager. He's made big calls. That call today with Sonny was ended up being brilliant, because Sonny's just played a fantastic ball for the first goal. Takes him off, only wants to give him an hour because he's only just back from an injury. Sonny's obviously really upset by it, angry by it. But you know, and if it doesn't work out, him coming off, Richarlison coming on, and we go on to lose that game, he's getting big heat. He's going to be getting big heat. How can you take a player off that's just done that? But he's done it. So, you know, and he's made a change. Now, we've all accused him of not being able to change, but that was a big change today. That was a big call. And he got it right. He absolutely got it right. So as much as we sit here and sometimes question stuff, we then also have to say, well done, and point out where he's got it right, you know, to be even handed with him. And I'm liking what I see. I really do like what I see. If we grow and build from this week, I think we've got something, because the team as well has got a lovely balance to it. Really lovely balance. It's got the flair. It's got a bit of bite. It's got some industry as well. I mean, Russ alluded at the start of the show to Ben Davies. Come on. I mean, he came on today. He was superb. There he is. And you're right. If your daughter brings him home, you'd be the happiest man in the world. I mean, look, he's been with us 10 years now. He's as sensible as a Rain Mac and Welly Boots, isn't he? I mean, he's just like, you know, you're never going to get any problems out of him whatsoever. Fluent Welsh speaker. I bet he can say Llanfair Pwsgwingef go gere when Dropos Santos Silios go better than I can. He's got a 2-1 in economics and business studies. I mean, do you know what I mean? He's a quiet, private lad. He just gets on with his work. He's solid, dependable. But every team needs one of them. For every Yves Bissouma and Madison and, Flair and this and that you get, you've got to have in your team a Ben Davies type as well. So there's a really nice balance to us. I feel we look like we're onto something, Rick. We really do. So long may this continue.
Oh man, long may it continue. Ali Bent here says, Al Ben says, with 3 more points, we would be in the title race. I think we are at the same time. Listen, rightly so, very, very excited. I think what we all said on this show is one game at a time. I think we're all been at the point where, look, we all want to get excited. And don't get me wrong, we should be excited. It's been a great, great week for Tottenham. And it's lovely to say, and I don't think there's any harm in saying this, that it's nice to see down the road things that they might be coming off the wheels down there. Not our problem, not our business. But it's nice to see. We're Spurs fans, of course, that's going to be a bit of fun to us. It will do. I do want to bring on to the fact of what Ange said after his pre-match presser, because these obviously, again, are enlightening moments where you get to know more about the manager, how he feels about certain things and what's been said after the game. Ange was asked the question about what pleased him most about the performance. He said, look, I guess just all of it. You're playing a top team. You know with Villa, they're going to always have a real strong performance because they're a very, very consistent team. They really have off days, but you've got to be ready for that. And I thought we had to match it with them in the first half. We had to sort of draw on the energy and make them work really, really hard. Obviously, we conceded the goal, but I still felt we made them work really hard in that first half. And the thing with us is, we've got another gear 2 or 3 in us, and we keep on going. And it felt like we could really break them open in the second half. And we just felt if we stayed focused on making sure we knew what our game was, to keep the football, to keep the intensity and tempo up. And again, I have to say this, credit to the players after a massive effort on the Wednesday. At least physically, they went and did it again. He was asked, Ange, could this be a big moment for the side when you think they were a week ago at Palace to go and beat City and Villa? He said, look, I guess it's my point from 7 days that, as I said at the start of the show, you don't fall off cliffs, you don't climb mountains within a week. It's all the same process. We're going to have bumps along the way. It's how you address them. It's how you cope with them, how you rebound and learn. The key thing is we had a disappointing day last Sunday, but when you're coming on the Monday, we had 2 big games, really important games. So no point feeling sorry for ourselves. We had to come in, get our head straight and work back towards being the team we want to be. And that's what happened. It doesn't matter that it's the end of it now. We've got to push on. We've got to get better and we've got to improve and keep moving forward. Great words there from Ange Postecoglou. I think, look, again, I'll be honest about it. I think I've been at times highly critical so far of his tenure. I think weeks like this is what really can connect a fan base with a manager. It shouldn't all just be based on results. It should be more than that. But I will make this point that bar Brighton for 20 minutes, bar the Palace performance and bar Coventry, I think there's no doubt about it that Spurs have shown much more improvement in their patterns of play this season than last season. That's a fact. You can't get away from that. Then you add in all the stats we've spoken about, being the top goal scorers in the league, by the fact that we've conceded 12 less goals from this point of the respective games of last season. You'd be crazy to try and sit here and say that we aren't making progress or we can't see improvements, because we can. The key thing is what we always talk about. Can Spurs be consistent? I think, Crack, you made this point. There are things coming together, but consistency is key.
They're ticking both boxes now, Rick, aren't they? The stats are bearing stuff out, and they're beginning to pass the eye test as well. Because sometimes you'll see the stats and you'll go, okay, but that doesn't quite tell the tale of what's what. But now they're a joy. They're a joy to watch. They are absolutely a joy to watch. That second half today, I mean, you could almost say for your money's worth to get cry and watch a first half and bay watch of the second half today. You had a bit of everything, but we really wasn't that terrible in the first half. We actually contained them really well, bar that one calamitous corner. But the eye test now is being passed. This is what you want to see, and it's exciting the fan base. For when do you ever hear like players, the Villa players or players from opposition teams talk about the intimidation of the noise that they face? That got trotted out today, which is just fantastic. This is exactly where you want to be. And when the team give you something, you get something back. I said last week when I got back from Palace that Tottenham was so flat. They got nothing from the crowd, absolutely nothing. To start with, it was really good. And when things fell over, it was poor. So this is a two-way thing. They give more, we give them, and it snowballs. So yeah, it's pleasing to see that they're ticking all the boxes now for all the stats and for all us old fossils that just like actually watch a game of football without a slide rule in hand.
Yeah. Oh, crackers! You leave me when I go for points like that. You are amazing.
Incidentally, Rick. Just a quick point. We've conceded 2 goals from corners this season.
Yep.
And today on the commentary on the television, because I've been out swinging the old golf club while I was on the course anyway, earlier when I got back just in time for kickoff. I mean, they were peddling this in commentary. Oh, there it is again, another disastrous set piece. Last season we had an issue. Clearly, there's been some work done, but I think Pat is right, incidentally, just to expand on this a little bit. The zonal marking isn't helping us, and Vicario still has a problem from crosses and corners, but we've only conceded 2 goals this Premier League season that way. And that's an improvement, because we were sitting here, weren't we, everybody, Rick and everybody watching and listening last season, and just saying, we can all see it. And he says, Ange, there isn't a problem. We don't worry about that. And we all thought, well, that's stupid. So something's happened, for sure, in a good way.
And also on this point, Russ, to back you up here, I think when you look at overall set pieces, corners, everything combined, Spurs have only conceded 2 from 68 openings. That's corners, free kicks in general, which tells you on that basis alone, like you say there, Russ, the narrative being fed in the media is like Spurs have got this continual problem where they're conceding from them. Only 2 out of a possible 68 openings, which show you the improvement that is going on behind the scenes. It really, really, truly is. And one thing I do want to make a point of bringing into this show was, again, I know a lot of people, a lot of fans actually on the match day watch this back on the train or on their commute back in the car. This is for you amazing supporters that were in the stadium today, that after the game, it was put to John McGinn, his thoughts on the Aston Villa performance. And he said, look, we've got to keep our heads a wee bit more, because when you look at the overall team Spurs put out there and their performance, I have to say that many teams will come here and suffer a defeat like that. It got loud, probably as loud as I've ever heard it as an away player. And I think, you know what, the reason why I wanted to bring that into the show, that sometimes the ground that we've got is beautiful and sometimes it's seen as though it's more of a entertainment venue rather than an intimidating stadium. But it just shows you, when you can generate the noise that our wonderful fans do in that stadium, that has got the ability to really, really intimidate teams, intimidate managers, intimidate players in the right way. Not the wrong way, but the right way. And teams actually end up really fearing on that field what they are going to do. And Villa, quite simply, like the reversal of the away fixture last season, lost their heads. It went from 1-1 to 4-1 very, very quickly. And Villa could not handle Tottenham's urgency, Tottenham's press, and the way they went about it, Russ. Is that fair?
Yes. Absolutely, 100%. There's 2 things to take us forward for me, right? These last 2 games have been great. And overall in the Premier League season, apart from a couple of the obvious games that we've mentioned already, Brighton and Palace, there has been an improvement. Number 1 is away form. Absolutely critical. If over the next half a dozen away games, we can not lose more than maybe 1. I don't want us to lose any, but if we can show this kind of grit and determination and clever football, ambitious football that has the opposition on the back foot, makes their fans get on their back, and we can take advantage. Away form is critical. And the other thing, of course, is next summer, Mr. Levy will have to squeeze the Tottenham toothpaste and give Ange some more money, I'm afraid. No question whatsoever, because we're going to get to a point where to actually challenge, we do need a couple of people who are going to come straight into our team, as we should have bought last summer, with respect to all people who were incoming. We talked about it a lot, didn't we, Rick, privately and on the Last Word on Spurs. A couple of ready-made, top class players in that starting 11. I mean, I think we could be even higher than we are now. In fact, I'm certain we could if we got them in the right positions. Yeah.
I mean, I say that's the thing. The ceiling at the moment feels that it's so high. And again, it's great. Like I say, when you have a week like that, you want to be able to celebrate. You want to be able to be joyous. You want to be able to enjoy it. And that's certainly what we are going to do. What we also are going to do, we are going to squeeze in our first break of the show for our listeners on audio. What I do just want to quickly mention is Dominic Solanke after the game, and our audio listeners will hear this, the interview that he gave to Sky, in which Dominic Solanke said, a few times this season, we've gone a goal down. Against Palace, we didn't react in the right way, but today we did. We always believe we can score many goals. It all came together in that second half. We had to adapt the way they were playing. At half-time, we regrouped and discussed what we had to do. And like I say, it's been a few games about 1. I've been trying to get 1, and I got 2. Buzzing with that. A lovely, nice stick finish. I enjoyed that one. And when we are playing well, we are scoring goals. We've shown that we are so difficult to handle, and I'm sure we're even capable of more. So we are going to go for that first break of the show for our listeners on audio. We've got over 4,500 of you watching us live. As always, we can't thank you enough for all your incredible support for Last Word on Spurs. Always, guys, that your support for the show, honestly, is amazing. We can't thank you enough. A reminder, look, you know, we've been partners with NordVPN over the past, 3, 4, 5 years. Great partners for us. And like I say, for those that are traveling in and around Europe on away days, Galatasaray coming up, guys, you're going to need your NordVPN. It will allow you to change your internet location wherever you are, back to the UK to watch your favourite programmes wherever you are around the world. So like I'd say, go and take advantage of that discount right now. We're offering you 4 extra months for free on a 2-year plan. There is no risk. We're Nord's 30-day-back money guarantee, and you can go ahead and get that via nordvpn.com/LWOS, the trusted tech kit cool toolkit you need. We'll get there eventually, we will. We're going to go straight in. We will get there. One of those games, one of those nights, one of those weeks. What can I say? We're going to go straight into the team lineup for this one, where Spurs made 3 changes to the side that beat Man City. Porro in for Gray, Udogie in for the injured Van der Ven, and Son coming back in for Timo Werner. We knew going into the game we had these concerns of a Mickey Van der Ven. We understand he will be out now until after the international break. Same, I will get there, as Wilson Odobert. We're looking at around a 9 to 12 time frame of weeks for Wilson Odobert, but Spurs are refusing really to put a generative time frame on that. So again, one to keep an eye on with regards to how he will be managed by Tottenham behind the scenes. But our team red for this one: Vicario Porro Romero, Dragoshin Udogie, Saar Bentancur Kulusevski, Johnson Solanke Son, with a bench of Forster, Davis, Gray, Basuma, Bergvall, Madison, Werner, Moore, Johnson, who was in the lineup, but Richarlison was on the bench. Now, Ange was actually asked before the game and after the game, what are the problems likely now for Richarlison Romero? And he said, look, with Richie, he felt something in the action of setting up the goal, his hamstring, so we'll see. In relation to Romero and where we are with him straight after the game, Ange Postecoglou has said he's a pretty tough cookie, but at the moment, like I say, we had to reshuffle that back line. I don't have any update as of the moment, but we will see. He did feel a bit sore in his foot, but I don't have any further information to provide. So as always, if we get any during this show or afterwards, we'll let you know. But it is a concern for Tottenham. Those injuries are mounting up. I mean, Pat mentioned the point there in his intro. Dragoshin, to be fair, didn't feel anywhere near the drop-off to last season. We no disrespect to the likes of Eric Dyer, Davinson Sanchez, because you've got somebody there now that is competent in terms of the way he wants to play. He's believing in what he wants to do. And I think now Spurs in general are looking a much more assured, solid side at the back, which backs up really, as we said, the defensive stats that do show that. So I do want to come on, if I can, guys, to essentially that lineup in terms of if we would have made any other changes bar that. I mean, Russ, I come over to you on this point because James Madison, again, not in a first 11 from Ange Postecoglou's side of things. Ange did say that he would feature during the game when he was asked about him pre-match. And, I mean, Madison gave the best reaction possible. I put in one in the top corner from a free kick that we know Spurs' record from free kicks isn't great. Anything to worry about long-term about James Madison, Russ, and the fact that at the moment with James, when he starts games, he's been brought off. You've said no there, but he's been brought off, you know, when Spurs are looking for a winner, searching for a winner. Is it just team rotation, squad selection?
Well, it's a human being, you know. I mean, we have good days and bad days, and sometimes you have more than one bad day. And I think that the injury obviously affected him a lot more than we all thought at the time, and probably more than he was expecting. And it's taken him a long while to get back to anywhere near that sort of James Madison when he first joined the club. Lost his England place, of course. That, you know, is a confident smasher. So to come on today and actually do pretty well and then slot that for, I can't remember, guys, the last time we scored a free kick like that, a direct free kick, maybe Harry Kane at Villa, that long ago, I think. But it was an absolutely brilliant free kick, positioned fantastically, and beating Martinez, you know, one of the best goalkeepers in the world, a World Cup winner, no mean feat. So I don't worry about him at all. The only thing maybe we should worry about is if he gets fed up and says, I'm not going to be playing in the starting 11 as often as I want, and his eyes go somewhere else. But I can't see it really. I mean, he's at Spurs. When he joined us, he said, this is the club I wanted to come to. And we must have a culture where not everybody is definitely going to start a match for us, because that keeps people on their toes. And I think that's a good thing. I can tell you it's the same in broadcasting.
Yep.
You know, if you're not doing well, somebody else will do it, and you might be given another chance. Football in that way, or any top job, I would have thought, is not really that different. In other words, Postecoglou expects them all to perform at the levels that he expects. I disagree with some of the fan base that we can bring in ready-made players and they will fit into the system, even if the manager says that they won't. I think he probably says that, incidentally, because he doesn't think he's going to get the money to buy those sort of players, so he has to go the other route. That's what I think. But to go back to your question, I don't have any concerns about James Madison at all.
We'll come on to, like I say, James, a bit more detail. So obviously, he scored that cracking free kick to make it 4-1. But in terms of the start to that game, we're going to lead up to, of course, the way Spurs did concede that opening goal. It was a bit of a sluggish start from us. Villa in control of possession, and it all felt a little bit flat. Son and Kulusevski both early on getting tackled quite easy on attacks. Udogie also avoided a late booking for that tackle on Matty Cash, which I'm sure many Spurs fans did enjoy at the time. We had sort of a lovely, beautiful bit of skill on the touchline to get past Rodgers and Onana in what looked like he had actually no space to deal with. But there were lots and lots of fouls in the opening 25 minutes of the game, which were really disrupting play. And it just really meant we couldn't get the flowing lovely game of football Ange Postecoglou would want to see. But there was one moment actually before Spurs did concede where they got away with one as Amadou Onana's header hit the post before Graham Vicario scrambled it away before it went for a corner. And then from that corner, Spurs did concede. I mean, lots of pushing and shoving, depending on how you view that. I mean, many would have viewed in the stadium when they were there. Many saying there was a suggestion of a foul on Vicario. I think I've made the point for me for Vicario that I think he's a tremendous shot stopper. Cracks coming over to you, the Goalkeepers Union. But I do worry with Vicario that although you could argue, again, devil's advocate, it may have been a foul, he's not dominant enough in that 6-yard box. And you may question, really, what is he going to do when you look at the way that goal is conceded? The ball actually comes off Bentancur in that moment. He makes a tremendous save, to be fair to him. But there would be that argument. I mean, what can he do in that moment? But again, we have to put it in perspective. Sky were kind of rolling out this stat during the game that they've conceded 20 goals from set pieces since the start of the 23-24 season. Only Forest have conceded more than 24. But I think it is irrelevant, to quote Jason McGovern's point here, Cracks, that when it's 2 in 68 from the 24-25 season, I mean, does that not show in itself that we are getting better from set pieces? And whilst it might be a little bit of an issue, the reality is that we have shown improvement on this area.
Well, that's Sky playing devil with the stats there. They've probably looked and seen that we were 2 from 68. Doesn't suit any sort of narrative and agenda. So they've rolled out from when things were not good. And we've improved. So, you know, whatever the past was, but we've learnt from it. And we are now much better at it, 2 from 68, which is why I'm always a little bit skeptical with stats, because you can, you know, there's lies, damn lies, and statistics, isn't there? So they've rolled that out. But you know, from that one today, I don't think Vic can do much there, to be honest. I think that's more of a team defensive failure rather than anything on Vic. He was, you know, there was a lot of shoving on him, but he gave some back and he created a good space for himself. Porro just getting that flick, you kind of think to yourself, maybe, just maybe, if Van der Ven was in the side today, he might have been stood where Porro was, and then he gets his head to it, and you know everything's all sweet as a nut. But he kind of gets a touch. Comes into Bentancur. Vicario actually makes an unbelievable save to stop it being an own goal. And from that unbelievable save, it just pops out to the scorer? What was his name again? He sounds like he should be playing from the 1950s, doesn't he? What's
Morgan
Morgan
Rogers.
Yeah.
What business has he got doing playing football in 2024? He sounds like he should have been playing for Preston in 1947, doesn't he? It's Morgan Morgan Rogers with the turn in now. The crowd going wild at Wild City Stadium. It's one of them, isn't it? Morgan Rogers. Who's called Morgan Rogers in 2024? But anyway, it's not really not much. He is, isn't he? He should have more Brill cream in his hair than you have, Rick, to be honest.
Well,
like, you know, that
1940s,
50s look, shouldn't he? But yeah, there was really not much he could do. But we've plugged the holes with these problems. Sky are running out their stats to make it look like it is a problem. Well, listen, Tottenham in crisis has always sold newspapers and generated clicks and listens, and White Van Man phoning TalkSport and speaking to that Cheech and Chong at 10 o'clock every evening, Cundy and Goldstein or whoever else is on. So, you know, this is what you get. But this isn't the truth. Today, you know, was just one of those ones, which isn't so much of one of those ones anymore.
What I've just realised is we've given all the media outlets a battering. So when we are called upon for any Spurs content, that ain't going to come along in a while. So just I think we've got 3 schedules now for a while. Just let's keep Russ's nose out of it, for God's sake, please. But apart from that, we're all right. We're doing absolutely fine. Pat, another one, I won't quote the media outlet that had this one running along, was that Spurs have conceded now. When you look at the overall case of their 14 Premier League fixtures at the home in 2024, Spurs have shipped the opening goal on 12 occasions. Aston Villa, Brentford and Arsenal have scored all first in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium this season. Everton, the only team to not do so lightly league-wise. And look, while Spurs did come from behind to beat Aston Villa, West Ham and Brentford, their tendency to go behind maybe giving them a bit of an uphill challenge. Is that something you feel needs to really be put to an end? Or is that just an unlucky stat for you?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, the other way to look at it is like they showed, I think you show it earlier, points gained from losing positions since Ange Postecoglou was appointed. And we're way ahead of all the rest of the team. So the positive is that even when we do concede, we're always in the game. Apart from Crystal Palace last week, which was a really massive anomaly, we always feel like we're in the game and we're still at it and we can still grab an equaliser and a winner. Like today, when we conceded, I was frustrated with them in the manner in which we conceded, but I never for once thought that we was out of it. And that we all know Aston Villa are a good team, but I never thought like, that's going to kickstart Aston Villa into, that second gear and then we're going to not be able to get near them. Regarding the set pieces, they are overdoing it, but I just think from us, it's not more Vicario. I thought Vicario did go down quite weakly, but when looking at it, it was a reaction from the save. But I just think us as a team, as in the unit, need to do better. Like a lot of the players are bullying him and like basically crowding that area, and you got to see like the Bentancurs and your Dojis, and they just got to be a bit bigger, push people away, and just basically man mark somebody. There's too many players that are just free, able to waltz in on the back stick and get a tap in. So that needs to change, and I'm hoping they're working on it. The fact that we are nowhere near conceding as many as we did previously shows something is improving, but of course there's still room for improvement there. But going back to what you said regarding going down, no, it's unfortunate like today, because I did feel that we was in control of the game. It wasn't a game with a lot of clear-cut chances, but I felt that we were in control of the ball and in control of the game. They scored essentially against the run of play, and then after that, from the half-time, we literally pushed into second and third gear. So annoying. Of course, I want to see us keep more clean sheets. I think other than Everton, I'm not sure in the Premier League if we kept a clean sheet this year. So people in the comments, let me know if that's the case. But, we need to keep more clean sheets. But we're winning games, and we're winning games by a healthy margin. Hence why our goal difference is the second best in the league at the moment.
Yep.
Scoring a lot of goals, we're the chief goal scorers at the moment. We're not conceding as many as people may think. We're joint
11,
fourth.
11. Yep.
Yeah, 11 conceded, and that's joint fourth with the likes of Nottingham Forest are doing fantastic at the moment. They've only conceded 7 goals.
Can you imagine? Bloody Nuno beats us to the title. Can't make it up.
Nottingham Forest are in third, and I've got Chris Wood in my fantasy football team, by the way, people. So put him in if you haven't, because he's doing bits at the moment. He's quite cheap. But anyway.
Tell you what, that shows you how much Pat's got for the audience. Normally, people would keep these quiet themselves, their fantasy football team codes, and Pat's giving them away.
Always looking out for the family. That's how it goes.
Look at him.
So yeah, but no, I'm not concerned. Obviously annoying. I want to keep a clean sheet here and there. I want Vic to, ideally be in the running for the Golden Glove. He's a fantastic keeper. There's bits he needs to work on. But as a team, of course, Rome isn't built in a day. That we can't fix every single issue straight away. So not concerned, but a bit frustrated, especially when we conceded the way we did today. Because if we didn't concede that goal, that's a 4-0 drubbing and a clean sheet. So just a few tweaks, but all in all, it's positive, man. Like after losing last week, and then you have Man City and Aston Villa on the horizon, it can go south very quickly. The fact that we got 2 good wins and we're all here happy and the fans are, feeling good. There's a good feel-good factor around the club again, and that's what we need. And you just need to press on now from these moments, like use it and take that momentum. We've seen a lot of our rivals drop points this weekend. Let's push on. That's all. That's it really for me at the moment.
Amen. I mean, like I say, that game itself, of course, the way that played out, Spurs conceding that goal, I think, again, like anything, there's an element of concern. And rightly so, we have shown this season our ability to be able to handle setbacks and come back into the game. But Spurs, heading into half-time, I mean, look, there would have been definite concern because Villa are a good side. And you felt in with Villa, could they play like that in the second half? Because their goal definitely came against the run of play. And the way I can put it really is that was, I felt, a really intelligent team that had a bit more maturity about them, working out a young Spurs side that, albeit actually wasn't that inexperienced, but Emery's Villa, they did really well to slow the game down at times, reduce Spurs to long shots, capitalise on just that set piece and look very threatening. But to be honest, as a whole, it was a dull, bitty first 45 minutes where we saw actually a number of boos at half-time and then start of the second half. I've got to say, I thought it was a very, very poor moment from referee Craig Paulson where he stopped play with Spurs trying to find Solanke because Rodgers was down with an ankle injury. I mean, Ange Postecoglou was absolutely furious that was the case because it looked like Porro was manhandled by Ramsey. And the good thing is about that, it did ignite the crowd. And that's where the crowd really, from that moment on, absolutely played their part. From that moment right to the end of the game. And Spurs got their equaliser. And it was once again, Heung-min Son, who was really at the heart and pivotal to Spurs' resurgence of that game. A beautiful, beautiful, lovely ball from Sonny, who got past Cash, crossed it in for Johnson to have him at the back post. And Brennan Johnson back amongst the goals. Super, super finish. Great moment for Brennan Johnson. Just for context, it's been only four games since Brennan Johnson has been on the score sheet for Spurs. Back level in the game. I mean, Russ, will swing back over to you because I think the importance was getting that goal early to be able to go on and win the game. So the timing of the goal, ever so crucial, right?
Yeah, and the press completely changed in the second half. From the beginning of the second half, Ange and the coaching staff had obviously got into them and said, press higher, press higher. Towards the end of the first half, I felt we were just watching us drop a little deeper and a little deeper. I didn't think the first half was good at all. I didn't think there was anything good in it anywhere in that 45 minutes from where we want to be. And the second half has propelled us in our own minds through hope and belief that this is the kind of football we want to play. And, when you put up the Premier League table there, and you joked about Nuno, Rick, and one or two of our viewers have said, if Nuno does a Leicester, I'm giving up football. Well, I'd be inclined to join them. But there's nothing to stop us being where they are.
Yeah.
But seriously, we have overall, they've got a couple of very good midfielders, and Chris Wood is in that golden patch at the moment of scoring goals, and good luck to him. But there's nothing to stop. Well, there's nothing to stop us being in that position. We mustn't be remotely concerned whether we can actually get into that top 4, because there's no doubt that we can, because, there's a couple of teams, as we all know, who probably personnel-wise probably got the edge on us. But, hey, that's now. We're not even 2 years in with Ange Postecoglou, and he's learning on the job like we are, watching his football team play and his players playing for him. So I think we have to realistically look at the way that we played in the second half, replicate that away from home. It's absolutely crucial. I'm sorry to still go on about it. Our away form is not great, and it hasn't been for a long while. And that is the key for us being where Forest are, and who knows, even higher. And it's absolutely doable, because a lot of it is up here. They've got the ability. It's the mentality and the leadership, something that I've talked about on the podcast, Last Word on Spurs, a lot, because I believe that you have to have leaders. And I think the way we played in the second half, fair play to them, we had 11 leaders out there, because they all wanted the same thing, and pushed for it, and they got a brilliant victory, and great credit to them.
Absolutely, I totally agree with that. I mean, look, the way Spurs got back into the game and they carried on this perseverance in terms of really pushing the paper to Aston Villa. They really, really were. I mean, at that point, Spurs were in some form of definitive control. You've got to say that. And if like only a matter of time before Spurs would get their second, they went very, very close. You've got to say on a number of occasions, the one being really the main one where at that point you had a doggy linking up with Porro, where, again, at this point, I've got to say, Martinez was being whistled at every lengthy goal kick. And to be fair, I think Pat said it in his opening intro of this show, Villa came and really did time waste. I mean, it almost felt like Villa came to Spurs playing for the point, which I felt actually quite bizarre about, because even later in the second half, bearing in mind we actually end up with, with no disrespect to them, our two backup centre-backs you've got to say that in Radu Dragusin and Ben Davis. I was actually really surprised by the fact that Villa didn't show much more ambition or invention on the day to really go and push it for Spurs. But I mean, look, I think the big moment in this game comes where we credit Ange Postecoglou massively for this, because it is a big, big decision to make this in terms of the way that game is going, the feeling in that stadium. Ange Postecoglou makes the decision to take off Heung-min Son. Now, I think it's safe to say that Heung-min Son was not expecting his name to be called when the first set of subs were to be made. So Spurs changed Bissouma and Richarlison, who came onto the field for Son and Bentancur. Look, Sonny had a quiet first half, and it lit up in the second with that great low ball for Johnson to slam home. And I think, look, again, when the way that game was going, Bentancur probably was Spurs' brightest player of the first half. But again, he could have had a yellow card and was replaced by Bissouma before the hour mark. And to go back onto Son, if I can, I think it's fair to say that when Sonny was coming off the field, didn't look too happy from the cameras that panned to him, of course, on the bench. And Ange Postecoglou was actually asked after the game the plan about Sonny and why he came off. And he said, look, he was never going to play more than that in terms of the hour mark. He obviously had an injury, came back, and last time is around the 60-minute mark we did this, and he got fatigued previously. So he was never going to play any more than that period of time. The great thing was he pretty much made an important contribution. The great ball in before that for our goal, and we got our equaliser. So, we've got more battles ahead. We're going to need Sonny. So he was never going to play more than the time allocated. And he was asked if Son was surprised about coming off, because, again, we make that point. Son looked very disenchanted to be on the bench. He said, no, I didn't see any difference with Sonny. I'd be surprised if any player likes coming off. They're feeling right, but no, didn't discuss it with him. What's more important for us overall is the contribution that he made. And, Pat, I'll come over to you if I can on Sonny, because, a player that I do still see some murmurings as to whether he's the same Heung-min Son as, when he was at his absolute peak. I think the key thing with Sonny, I said this so many times on Last Word on Spurs, is that we take this guy around the world, across Asia, pretty much every season, let's be honest about it. He then is, during that period, a quarter of that time, going on respective international duty as well. How important is it, Pat, that we put this into perspective, that it's really hard to get the absolute best out of a player when they are being traipsed halfway around the world on such a frequent basis, Patty?
Really good points. Ricky, before you get into that, I've seen a few people in the comments saying about the fans booing at halftime. We didn't boo the team at halftime. We were booing the referee because he was so poor. He wasn't getting onto the Villa players for the time wasting. Emi Martinez wasted about 10 minutes on goal kicks. The players were rolling around at every chance. They were kicking the shit out of us, and the ref failed to give a yellow card to any of their players. So at half time, we booed the fact that the referee was getting away with murder. So the team wasn't getting booed, because I thought the team, I know Russ said he didn't like the performance. I didn't think there was anything wrong in that respect to the performance, but we were booing or making it clear how annoyed we were with the referee and his shit refereeing, excuse my French. He was awful. He had no control of the game. I can't believe Martinez didn't get a yellow card throughout the whole of the game for time wasting. The irony is, at the end of the game, we're 3-1 up and they're putting 10 minutes on the board. Why are they giving them the chance to get back in the game when they wasted all of those 10 minutes? So it's quite funny, isn't it? Even though we got the fourth in the injury time, they should change it in football. Like, if it's the team that's wasting time when they're up, and now all of a sudden they're chasing the game, they shouldn't get it back, because why are we having to suffer again because they wasted all that time when they were obviously, drawing or losing? They came for a point, which is, I know sometimes they say, win your home games and draw away, but Unai Emery should have, it was really poor on their behalf, and obviously they got punished in the end. So that's where the booing came in for the people that weren't in the stadium today. In regards to Sonny, I know it's a tough one because even me, he was frustrating me in the first half. I was like, take your man on, take your man on. And when he did take Cash on, you saw the end product and what happened. A fantastic cross. And if Johnson didn't get on that, Dominic Solanke was going to tap it home. So that was brilliant. That's what you want to see. A brilliant, lovely pass into that, that danger zone, that corridor where if a player touches it, it's potentially an own goal. And if an attacker gets onto it, then it's a goal. Shout out to Lee Smith. That's how I felt. And that's what I thought was going on. And then, it was, I wasn't mad at the substitution. Ange's protecting Sonny. He just came back. The last thing you wanted to see him do is then get injured again. And then he's out for 3 months, 2 months. So I think with Ange as well, the credit has got to be, I've been very critical of Ange, but I'm also somebody that when he does things right or when he gets it right, I also will hold my hand up and say, well done, because if Ange succeeds, we as a fan base succeed, and I want him to do well. But I thought that he's been good at managing minutes. And even when Dragusin wasn't playing, he's had him ready by bringing him in, and the same with Ben Davies. So these guys are ready. And even Timo Werner, who frustrates the hell out of me, he's had a lot of minutes. So if something does happen, these guys are ready and not coming in cold. And that's part of squad rotation. That's part of trusting in your squad. I'd like to see a bit more of Bergvall, but other than that, he has rotated the squad quite well. And it does help in these moments, because when you need a Dragusin or you need a Ben Davies or you need a Basuma to come in, and credit to Basuma as well. Not many will talk on it, but he came in, slotted in brilliantly, and he was quality as well. He was just as good as Ben Tanker, in my opinion, intercepting, breaking up play and pushing the ball forward. And I thought the midfield balance today was fantastic, because Aston Villa are a very good team, but we made them look pedestrian. We made them look normal, very average. And that's because the team balance was right, and obviously the subs came in and slotted straight in. Like you said, we had a back two of a centre-back pairing of Ben Davies and Dragusin, and that would have scared the life out of any Spurs fan this time last year. But we were very comfortable today, and they've got good attacking players. So that's a credit to the team, and that's where the team is growing. That's where you're seeing that growth and that belief. So, but going back to Sonny, no, I think, of course, we always want to see Sonny do more. But then when you look at how many goals we scored and the assists and they're shared, and Son's on probably 3 or 4 assists, couple of goals, I think he's slowly coming into his own. He's got to be managed as well. He's getting a bit older, but I don't see a problem in that. And I'm up for sharing the load. Let Brennan Johnson chip in. Kulusevski's starting to chip in. You've got Madison on a couple, 3 or 4 assists as well. So it's a team game, man. And if all these guys are doing what they need to do, then Spurs will continue to be fighting right there or thereabouts. And maybe this is better in a way. Maybe it's better that we don't go, straight up and we're on the top and then everyone's waiting for us to drop. Just quietly, consistently fighting around 4th, 5th, 6th, and then just basically staying right within touching distance. And then obviously if it starts coming together, then we'll see where we land, because Arsenal aren't really the same at the moment. Even as good as Man City are, they're beatable. We just beat them. They lost again on the weekend. Like, Liverpool are doing quite well, but as long as we do play our game, like, you just don't know where it's going to end. But we just need to be consistent, and that means the players being consistent, and it does mean Ange managing them as well. So if Romero feels a slight tweak, like last was it in against Man City, he took him off. Today, slight injury, taking him off. I think Ange is quite good at that. He's not scared to make a call to protect the players and have them for longer on in the season. So I'm not mad at that at all, and I think it's good that he's done that.
Just on him, if I can, Cracks, come over to you on Romero. A little off the pace early on, picked up a yellow card for a late lunge in the second half. I mean, the first, again, when you look at actually the crazy point of it, he seemed to have that foot problem and he had to limp off to be replaced by Davies. And it meant Spurs did have to play the final 30 without both of their first choice respective centre-backs. He looked frustrated to be potentially out of what will be international duty with Argentina. Bear that in mind. And also, like I say, I mean, the crazy thing about the tackle he made is that it was actually quite needless. Didn't need to do it. And the crazy thing I think we've been saying on the last few shows we've had is that we actually haven't seen that bite from Romero. We've not really seen that almost kind of conviction to go in for tackles. If anything, he has been a bit more standoffish. The one time he does it, it's quite reckless. He picks up a foot injury. And the irony is that, again, I make that point that there's always this feeling that, with no disrespect, that the Argentinian players that have been at Spurs, that there's always been more of a preference when it comes to always having that availability for Argentina, and maybe the lesser case for Tottenham. And it's quite ironic that we might be in a situation now where he misses a couple of games for Argentina, and then he might be back for Spurs after the international break. I mean, again, Ange couldn't really give us too much information, but what did you make of Romero? What did you make of that foul, or if you call it a foul at the time? Because it seems like he's injured himself in that, and again, we haven't really got too much more information to date on Romero.
He's certainly toned down from where he used to be, isn't he? But you've also lost a little something with him by toning him down. But this all comes down to, it's almost like a national psyche. This is this South American mentality. Like I've said to you before, where I live is very, very heavily South American influenced, but probably more than mainland Spanish. So you kind of get to know the psyche of these people, and especially Argentinians. They're very, very national orientated as well. You know, it's a real thing to play for country over club, more so than it is in England. Everybody sees as club sort of 95% and then 5% for the national team, if you like, in the psyche, except for when it comes to tournaments and that. It's probably the other way round with some of the South American players. He just seemed to remember that he was South American today, went in and done that, and then lo and behold, picks himself up a knock. But we've kind of kept him from a few red cards, but lost a little something with him as well. I don't know. It's a tough one with him. I mean, people are talking about him maybe going elsewhere, and he may have had his head turned. I don't know. He's just, he's a little more subdued than he used to be, which is great in some respects, but also not so great in other respects. But you know, we'll have to manage, won't we? We'll have to, you know, Ben Davies, as we said, come in today. Dragasins come in today, and they've done really well against what Pat said is a good front line with Villa. Done really well. So yeah, it's talking about Son as well coming off. I don't think you have a first 11 and then subs anymore. That even the language and narrative around substitutes, there's a lot of people not calling them subs anymore. They're calling them game finishers. So when you look at the injuries that players are getting, they're playing more and more and more. And I know there's a political thing going on in the background between clubs and players and what they're expected to do in off seasons and the amount that they're being asked to play, and new club competitions and Europe and your own domestic leagues and domestic cups, etc., etc. Squads have become even more important. So I just don't think that there is a starting 11 and subs. These are squads now. So you have to have the right amount of people in the squad for every position. And barring a couple of positions, we're okay. We'll always take some strengthening, especially with January not too far away. If we can bring in a couple of new faces and just try and like freshen things up a bit, that would be great. But I don't know, with Romero, it's a tough one, isn't it? If he goes, I'd not be as upset as if Van der Ven went. Really, he's the one that I like. I'm not sure whether Romero really suits Ange's style of play. Now, I think they complement each other quite nicely, Romero and Van der Ven. I think they're a differing blend, but yeah, you know, if his head's turned, then he has to go, and Ange will make that call as well. You know, if he's not afraid, he's not afraid. Not afraid. No, not at all. And I do really like that, which is what we saw with Son today. He is 32. He is just coming back from an injury. He is, the team captain. But Ange was like, no, that's it. You're off, and I'm going to make the call, and away you go, because this is a squad game. We need to manage players. Another big game in the week, and then the weekend after, and then. So there's a lot of games. hell of a lot of games. So yeah, this is a squad thing now, more than a starting 11.
Let's bring Russ into that debate. Russ, let's bring you in there. I can see you're intently listening on that one. Where are you on the relationship with that at the moment? Because I say, been a real positive game, positive day. And like I say, we don't know what's happening with Romero. So I just wanted to make that point, actually. Again, it's bizarre when there's that intent there to go and win the ball. He picks up an injury and it was probably needless to do so. And again, we're in a situation where we're pretty much, as we know, down to the bare bones defensively at the moment. Centre-back-wise, that is.
The fact is, this season, we've conceded less goals than last season. So our defence is overall better. The only thing I would say about Romero is, and obviously he gets all our respect because of what he's achieved in the game at the very, very highest level. I find him a bit plodding when he's got the ball. I find him a bit slow compared to Van de Ven to get rid of the ball. And that can create its own problems. Maybe he's thinking more about what he's going to do with the ball. But it could just be me. But I'm with Crackers that Van de Ven going would be more alarming for me. I mean, we'd love to keep them together, of course. But, you know, South American players can get their heads turned by a certain club in the middle of Spain, can't they?
I'm not sure who you're talking about, Russ. I'm not sure who you're talking about.
I think we all know. Well, Real Madrid, there you go.
Slipped out.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we don't want him to go because he's a very, very good footballer. But, you know, the proof is in the pudding. Less goals conceded this season across the board by our defence. So, you know, that has got to be a good thing. We've got a pacey centre-back and we've got one that, well, let's be fair, most centre-backs compared to Mickey van der Ven would be plodders, I suppose, wouldn't they? Because he's so fast.
Just on this point, I want to bring Russ back in quickly on the defence. I want to come on to Solanke, and I am conscious of time with Russ's schedule, I've got to say. Porro didn't really contribute too much going forward. He did send a header back towards his own goal for the first half. Did work hard throughout the game, as picked up on by Patty. Great block from Dragoshin on Ramsey in the first half. Put a really solid display in, despite that absence of Mickey van der Ven. And Destiny Doggy for Spurs did work hard, got up and down the left-hand side, set up Solanke for a chance in the second half and looked very much sharp and got into plenty of good positions. And meanwhile, at this point, we talk about the defence. Villa were dropping like flies extravagantly in the early second half. Super sub John Zoran got the call as Rodgers limped off. Rodgers was actually furious on the touchline with Emery because he insisted he didn't want to come off. In that moment, Dominic Solanke does score. Russ, to come over to you. And interestingly with Dom, I think we were looking at a point where up until that moment he scored, I think it was only one shot. I believe one shot in his last 7 games. I will have to double check because obviously he's been on the score sheet as well, Solanke. I'm just looking here. Sorry, after 6 matches without a goal on target, I'll add. But he does bring Spurs level. And like I say, again, finally getting some decent service to finish off a lovely move from Solanke. And like I say, we see that Aneem celebration in the back there. Forgive me, I'm not down with the kids. Aneem, Anaim, let me know if you can. Patty, save me here with the kids. What is it?
It's anime.
Oh my God. God, not only pushing that, I've completely cut through it.
It's manga cartoon. So yeah. What did you say? Anime?
I said Anime. Oh no,
whilst I'm in, because I don't like interrupting people when they're thing. But Romero's fantastic, and I like the way he holds on to the ball because he's like looking to break a line, so to speak, with his pass. So we don't always need to play at 100 miles an hour to be effective. So I do like that you got the yin and yang. Like obviously Mickey van der Ven, pacey, daddy long legs, or sprint with the ball. But I like the fact that Romero, you can see his mind ticking, and he's brilliant at breaking the lines. And he's, for me, is still our best defender. Yes, he hasn't been at his best, but he's still a brilliant defender. And I think as the season progresses, you'll see the best of Romero yet again. And obviously in the summer, if there is a decision to make, so be it. Like you guys have said, Ange isn't afraid to let people go if it's time to move them on, which is a good thing. Sometimes you do need to freshen things up. But as it stands right now, Romero is a brilliant player. Probably our best centre-back, fantastic on the ball. Yes, he was a bit laboured today at points, but I don't mind that when he's so good as he is at breaking the lines. But yeah, that's it. I'm done.
Patty, thank you so much. So just to confirm, we're going with Amane?
Anime.
Tell me that. Oh, come on, Rick, figure it out. Anime. Right, let's go back round the wonderful Ross.
Rick, after your pussy disaster during the week, I'd leave new words alone for a while. It's anime, my lord. It's a popular Japanese cartoon series.
I've got some learning to do. We've just ruined the chance.
Don't start him on hentai, for Christ's sake.
We just lost a great chance to have a Japanese sponsor. I just say I've completely messed it up. Russ, let me come down here very quickly. I know we're conscious of time. Solanke, quick fire double for Spurs. Obviously, after struggling to find their way through, he gets his couple of goals. One, obviously, dependent on a VAR check, which was given. The other finish, Russ. I mean, this stink. I mean, that is not a guy that's out of form. There's no the net, is it, Russ? He was superb, wasn't he, during that game?
Absolutely brilliant. Fantastic ball to him, obviously, that made it. And the calmness of somebody who's used to scoring a lot of goals. And let's hope that it's the first of many for us, really, because he does everything else in his game is really impressive. He presses, runs around like crazy, but I rate he definitely runs more than probably anybody else in our team. And, if we give him the ball, he will score goals. So he's made a point today. He's got 2 of them. And he's been signed by a manager who totally believes in him. And I think that, we'll stick with him because that stat was in 6 games, by the way, Rick. Not 7.
Thank you, Russ. Thank you very much.
And he actually had a shot on target before he scored his first today as well. So that's the annoyance of Alan Smith on the comments.
The comments are battering me. My panelists are battering me.
They're battering all of us, mate.
I'll tell you what. I mean, normally I'm the one on top. Normally I'm 4 steps ahead. I'm 4 steps behind. And God, I might not make it back to the screen at this rate. You know what I mean? What is going on here?
Russ,
am I up for a bloody award with Fabrizio Romano? Go on, Cracks. Take it away, please.
Alan Smith today. Come on, please.
It's every game, Crackers, that we play on the telly.
Please stop. Do you know what? I'm blessed that I don't have to watch him. I can watch other channels where I live, thankfully. I don't have... that man would send a glass eye to sleep. He really would. Yeah. He got excited when Villa scored. And honestly, really? I thought he was going to have to go and change his pants when John Duran was coming on. Honestly. Did you hear that? Did you hear how excited he got? Here he comes. Honestly, he was like Larry Grayson. I know, here she is. Honestly, that man, he'd give aspirin headache, wouldn't he? Bin him. He would. Not on our games, please. Get somebody else on.
Every time nearly
Russ
we play on Sky.
Time.
And let's go to our commentary team, Rob Hawthorne and Alan Smith. And you just want to throw your tea or beer at the telly and go, no, it's trolling at the highest order. And I loved it when he had to say how good we were when we were winning 3 and 4-1. You can just hear it stuck there, Crackers in his throat. Really, he doesn't like it, Alan, does he at all?
Oh, man, I totally agree with that. Look, I am conscious of time. I'm going to say to Russ, okay. I know it's quarter to. Russ, are you ready now? Should we close in 10? Are you good at closing 10?
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, of course.
Okay? I'm very conscious of time. There's early starts here. There's early starts. We've got early starts. Yeah. These are businessmen. These are proper people, right? They're all
chances. That's what we are.
Chances? What? You joking me? Right, okay. And I just feel like I'm stuck now. I can't use that terminology again with anime because I've just died and Pat tried to resuscitate me. And even when he resuscitated me, I still absolutely effed it up. So we're going to move on for anime, please, if we can. We'll go what Ange said on Ange Postecoglou. Sometimes I don't know what I'm doing on this show. I really don't know what I'm doing here. I'm joined by some amazing people here. I think, how have I got the gig to host this bloody thing? I haven't got a clue what I'm doing. Right. Ange was asked, does this underline your faith in Dominic Solanke? I can just say, as I'm doing this, we've got these images up. I can just see everybody pissing themselves to get the panelists in the background pissing themselves, thinking, I don't know, you've got this gig either, to be honest with you. He went, look, if more so in terms of that performance, that even shows the tremendous effort he put in on the Wednesday to help us win that game, not just physically, but mentally, his capacity to help the team in every way. To back that up with such a massive effort against a pretty difficult team in Villa, Solanke was just simply unbelievable. Yeah, the goals are great, and of course, as a striker, he loves the fact he can score a couple of goals. But even if he didn't, I can't speak high enough of what he's contributing to our team at the moment, and long may it continue. And I have to say on this point, if I can, absolute credit, and I think Patty said it in his intro, and I think we'll go to Pat if we can very quickly on him. Pat Matasar, I mean, not only did he get better and better as the game wore on, he was so crucial for Spurs in the third goal in the way he won the ball back, slipped in Richarlison to set up Richie. It was an all-action display. Ange was asked the question, has Sarr worked his way back into the starting lineup and have that growth, which he's showing now week upon week? And he said, look, they're never out of our lineup, mate. It's different changes every week, but he's probably played as much as anybody in the last year. I rate him so highly. Running with the ball, I knew he'd be so important because they've got such a hard-working midfield in Onana, Tillmans and McGinn and Rodgers in there. They don't really play with wide men. You're never going to break them down unless you open them up. And I thought Sarr put an enormous effort in, along with Rodri and Biss when he came on, and Decky, of course. And I have to say on that point, you know what I mean, coming over to you, Patty, on this, that Sarr, I think he's becoming one of those players that is becoming undroppable. And I think I might have to retire after the show. I am getting battered.
No, we love you, Ricky. Don't worry about it, man. Everyone can have
I am getting battered.
Ricky,
just think of it.
Ricky, what did Ange say again?
What did he say, Cracks? It's been a long night. What did I say?
don't know.
What did I say? What did I say that he said?
I think he called Unai Emery a flaming galah. Said, what do you think? I come down in the last shower. That's what he said to him, isn't it?
Please take me away, Patty. Put me in a straitjacket.
But no, I mean the thing is, the beauty of it is we shouldn't have a set starting 11. We should have at least 15 or 16 players knocking on the door, and depending on who we play, then obviously you bring in the right personnel. That's what the best teams have, and that's what we should be aiming for. So, you know, if Madison or Sarr or Bentancur or you know, Basuma, whoever it is, they should all be of the same ilk and quality that it was, you know, depending on who we're playing. And this is where you look at a manager that knows what he's doing and can tweak things. We talk about Ange maybe not having the tactics or a plan B. He definitely changed things and tweaked things as per the opposition today, and obviously changed things as the game was going on. So, you know, you have to give him that credit and respect. And Sarr had a bit of a shaky start to begin with as in the season, but he's definitely grown into his own, and he was fantastic today. And obviously I wasn't, you know, it sounds like I thankfully dodged the bullet. I wasn't watching the game at home, so I didn't hear Alan Smith and, you know, people putting people to sleep. I just don't understand why they keep putting anti-Spurs players or ex-Arsenal players on our games. We've got so many Spurs ex-affiliates that they could put on. Why not put one of those guys on as opposed to someone that doesn't like Spurs and is obvious in the way they present themselves? But anyway, I digress. Back to Sarr. He was fantastic. And yeah, the interception and lead up to the third goal summed him up perfectly. A couple of wayward passes in the first half, but all in all, he was brilliant, man. So energetic, reads the game well. And the beauty of him now is that he's starting to chip in with crucial goals, like the stunning goal against Man City on Wednesday. And then obviously today he's the pass before the pass, i.e. Luka Modric-esque. So that's all we need. That's what we want from your Bisumas and your Bentancurs and ideally Bergvales and your Archie Grays. All these guys, you want them to come in and literally step in and, you know, and just be as good as the last person that came off, or if not better. It was good to see Archie Gray get some minutes. Not sure why Bergvale isn't. That's a question for Ange, and hopefully we can see Bergvale midweek against Galatasaray, because as I was saying, you know, all these guys were brought in for big money in the summer, and I really want all of the squad to be at the same level. So if injuries or rotation does happen, which is happening now, they're all ready to come in and make a mark. So yeah, Sarr was brilliant. He was my man of the match personally, but you saw Dominic Solanke have a fantastic game. Dragusin, I wouldn't be mad if any of those guys got it. For me, it's a toss-up. And that's good. That shows that the team is playing at the level that it needs. When you've got 3 or 4 guys knocking on the door for man of the match, that shows that the team have played well and they've all put a shift in.
Totally agree, I do. Now, we'll go straight if we can. I mean, look, we're going to go straight to James Madison. Very quickly on Richarlison, for those that missed it. Yes, Richie having another injury. I don't quite know where we go with Richie, I'll be honest with you. I mean, look, that's a separate discussion itself. That could lead us into a completely different pathway. Crackers is smiling there. Not just the injury, because of where that discussion would lead us if we focus on Richarlison. I think we've all got early starts. So what I will just say on Richie is that at the moment, it went down, needing treatment, came off. And I think we made that point with regards to Ange Postecoglou when he was asked about his injury, which I'm trying to flick through and find here. Forgive me, I'm on an iPad. My printer has died on me here, which has all been fun and games, can I just say, in the period of trying to put 2 kids to bed, which is probably why I am coming out with such outrageous lines on this show that will not lead us to any media deals in the near future, as Crackers covers his eyes and thinks, where are we going on this bloody show? No real update with regards to Richarlison. If there is one, we'll bring it to you, but one we'll keep an eye on. I kind of say Crackers' face there kind of sums up where we are with Richie at the moment. We aren't really seeing the best of Richie at a point where this time last season,
He's made
I think
a
it was.
biscuit, Rick. Didn't he? He should be like Rich T's Charlison, shouldn't he? Only he could get injured in a celebration. He's like he's a lump as well. He's a big lad, but like honestly, please come on. If I like him, there's something endearing about him, but you know, this ain't a popularity contest, is it? This is Premier League football, and yeah, it's just like I want him to do well. I do really like him. He's just like, yeah, but as somebody just said, well said, he is an enigma, isn't he? He wrapped in a conundrum. I think they're all popular biscuits in Spain, by the way.
Yeah, I have to come and get a packet of those or a box of those. I mean, on this point, actually, you know, it goes back on what I said at the start of the show. You know, it is again a hamstring injury for him, so we'll see. I mean, the thing is, they worked extra hard to give him the time to bring him back so he wouldn't get injured again. And the crazy thing is, I think, Cracks, you mentioned about the celebration there, that definitely did him any favours, but I think he did pull it up actually during the move that led to the goal. But yeah, we'll see. Right, time for
fair play. What a cutback, Rick! What a cutback that was from Richarlison. I mean, it was just like
you're not being sarcastic.
No, dead serious. I mean, it defied physics because, like, with the momentum of his run to actually like cut it back. No wonder he turned his leg inside out, and he absolutely bamboozled the whole back line with that one ball. It was just as good as Son's, but in a different way. It was a fantastic little ball across, you know, and that's what he's capable of. And then all of a sudden, wallop, crack, you know, it's a Rich T dunked in tea for 10 minutes, isn't it, them legs? That's the frustrating thing with him. He can do that, but kills his own legs doing it. Anyway, James Madison.
I think we're in the end of days with Richarlison. I really do. I don't think he's got long left at the club, to be honest.
I think he'd get injured getting into an ambulance with that guy. As lucky as at the moment, the poor fella. Honestly, I do feel for him. I mean, you know, Darren Anderton, bless his heart, had a real tough time at Spurs. And I think many used to label, you know, Darren Anderton when an ambulance went past. That's Darren Anderton in there. Darren said the injuries that he had at his time at Spurs. I mean, Richie, dear God. I mean, the thing with Spurs is they've been very, I think, quite sympathetic and understanding to his injury situation. They've actually given him adequate time to recover, bring him back, break down again. I mean, God, the reality is they wanted to move on in the summer, as we know, but the player comes out and publicly says, I'm not going to Saudi. They had no choice. What could they do? They can't put him on a plane and force him there. God, I mean, they might have to parachute him.
He is unlucky, Rick, isn't he? He's as my old nan said, if he fell in a barrel of tits, he'd come out sucking his thumb, wouldn't he? I mean, like, he is really unlucky. He's properly unlucky.
They're all coming out tonight. They're all coming out tonight. Right.
We wouldn't want to go to Saudi for that money. Come on, be fair. You know, they are interested in money, by the way.
I think Saudi would send him back at this rate, the way it is going with him. I mean, probably, they'd even take him. They'd turn the plane around and send it back our way, and we're getting back twofold. Right, we're going to go to James Madison, because I say, we talked about the fact with James that wasn't in the starting lineup. We'll come back round to Russ. We are conscious of time. Russ, we're coming back round to you. You made the point. No, nothing worried about James Madison because he is a squad player. He's playing games. He's scoring goals. And like I say, that's exactly what he done. You mentioned it. I can't remember. We'll have to find out when our last free kick was scored. God, we're going back a while. We are going back a while. And James,
Harry Kane at Villa, I reckon.
Right, we'll put it in the comments if you know when that was, if it was. But what a cracker this was from James Madison. I mean, quite frankly, I think Martin was lining up the wall. Madison put it in the reversal of the corner of where it was going. I mean, Russ, talk us through that absolute great free kick. And James, I think it's fair to say, enjoyed the celebrations afterwards.
Well, he definitely did, and so he should really, because you know that is the sort of magic piece of football that we all fans love to see, particularly from your own club. And for him to come on as a substitute, and you could see that he was up for it because the way he kept just positioning the ball, and he was the only one who was going to take it, and you know his natural talent and practicing on the training ground has done the job for him. And I just think it's a brilliant moment for him, and hopefully now Rick, he's going to kick on and become the James Madison that we know that he can be. I'm a big fan of not only him as a player, but also as a guy as well, and some of the things that he does for the
Totally
club.
agree.
You all know what I'm talking
Yes.
about.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't have any concerns about him at all. Richarlison, on the other hand, I do. We're not going to go there, are we, Crackers?
No, we're not. We're not. Save it for the content of all tonight. We've got about 6 hours to kill there. Start the conversation at 5, end that at 11. We'll be absolutely fine on that one, boys. Right. Madison on the score sheet, 4-1. Actually, at the end, lovely little moment between Ange and Madison where he got in his ear. I'm not going to start a debate here. Madison clearly looked absolutely, forgive me, we're past watershed, fucked off by the fact he wasn't starting the game. But it was a nice little moment between James and Ange. And look, again, I'm sure he'll be playing against Galatasaray on Thursday. I mean, God. I think the way we're going, I think Cracks and Pat and Russ might get in the squad the way we're going on Thursday with our injury crisis for that game on Thursday. After the game, Ange made the point of just how proud he was of the team and the squad in general, where he said, look, really important win for us because it was also the birthday, lovely moment here for Ugo Ehiogu and the big influence he had on the changing room, and Matty Wells here at the club. I know he played for Villa, but he was obviously a coach for our football club. Matty spoke so strongly about him. When you hear things like that about how people affect your life, it gives you the clarity about what we're trying to do here. Obviously, for his wife and his son, probably a tough day, but hopefully they got a little bit of cheer. And the fact Wellesley made a really important point that may have gone on, but it was not forgotten. And again, I must make that point, actually, that there was a lovely moment, actually, in Ange's presser afterwards where he brought that to the attention of the journalists. So a lovely, lovely moment there about Ugo Ehiogu. And again, like I say, it just shows you, again, it puts into perspective life and football in general and how there are bigger and more important things in this world. To finish, Ange was asked about, is it more an open field now in terms of the Champions League and in terms of the general league itself now, with the way we've seen over the weekend, City dropping points, Arsenal dropping points. And he said, look, I don't spend much time thinking about it, but it looks like there's a more congestion in terms of the field itself. Sometimes I just think it's the attrition rate of players at the moment, which is hard, making them to play through smooth times. We're having to deal with it, I guess. That's part of it. The table is the only important thing for me at the end of the season. Whilst we're in the running, I don't look either side. I keep saying to the players, if I was a racehorse, I'm not. It would be with one blinkers. I'm just looking at the finish line. I think that's right. I just don't think much about the horse racing itself. And he was asked about if we're putting Wednesday and this game together, does it feel like one of your best weeks in charge of Spurs? He said, look, if you don't include last Sunday, you're saying, okay, yeah, because that's a week technically. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't really. I'm totally focused on the long game here of what we want to be, who we want to be. And I'll make that point again. There will be little bumps in the road that hurt, but you've kind of got to know that's part of the growth, and the good performances and good moments are there for the growth of the team, because that's what you've got to deal with. Finally, he was asked about how impressed he was with the physical and mental effort of the boys. He said, look, it's obviously been difficult having to make a number of changes over the course of the past couple of games, but the boys have dealt with it really, really well. And again, all the credit goes to the players. So we're going to close on that. Final round of everybody. Guys, been a really, really good week. A week that I mentioned at the start of the show. The weeks like this are what really connect fan bases to a manager that has had a vision, had a plan. It's coming together. But again, Ange's making that point. There will be bumps in the road. Russ, are we on the Ange train? Are you on the Ange train now?
Yeah.
He was never off it, but are you now on board Lee McQueen, constructor, and the uniform and everything?
I was. I'm not quite McQueen level, but of course,
no one's McQueen level.
I don't think anybody is. Yeah. Incidentally, just before I answer that question, the Harry Kane free kick, thanks to our viewers, wasn't direct, but he did score from nearly a free kick. He was passed to him. Look, what was the question again, Rick? Sorry, mate.
How I asked you if you're on the Ange train. You said not McQueen.
Oh yeah. Everybody's on the Ange train this week, but we got a big game coming up. Against Ipswich. Away form is what really swings the momentum of emotions on our show, and sadly I fall into that category. A couple of bad away results and a draw at home, and everything is a bit doom and gloomy for me. But that's me as a human being. Just because you disagree with me, we could still have a beer together. People watching the show and talk about our love of Spurs. But I'm hoping that this season is going to be better than last season overall, because we started great, didn't we? But fell away badly from about February. And I just get a feeling, and I think we all do, that it is, that it's coming together a bit a bit more now. But as you say, Rick, there'll be a few bumps on the road. But you know, I'm feeling good about it. Yeah. So fingers crossed.
Russ, you're a star. Russ, for those that listen, they want to listen back to this on the audio run. Russ, get that book up. Right, get that book up now. Show them, like I say. Now, for our listeners on audio, they've been hearing a lot about Russ's book.
Pressing, sad but true. 100 sad but true and very funny stories from around the world that I put together. Available in a modestly slim paperback. What a stocking filler for Christmas, folks.
Oh, man.
Maybe.
Can I just say on that point, as we're losing Russ there, he might have dialed out the perfect 5 minutes you spend on the toilet. I might sound a bit bizarre, me, encouraging you on the 5 minutes on the toilet you have. Most certainly go and, like I say, buy the book if you don't already. Check it out. Crackers, annual leave is coming your way. We've put him through the ringer over the course of the last few weeks. Annual leave is coming. Is it coming at a good time, though, Crackers? We're just picking up form. What's going on?
Well, it is what it is. I've got Christmas, Cracknell Christmas coming. So, because, we're a split family of some in the UK and some here. We always all get together in November because the kids can't come in December at Christmas time. So we have Christmas in November. So next week we'll have a Christmas dinner and some presents and everything. Yeah. So, we are where we are with Spurs, but family first and everything. So, yeah, and I'd just like to wish a happy birthday to Unai Emery, who's 50. I think he's 50, turns 52 today. So, fellow Spaniard, feliz cumpleaños, chico. Feliz
that's a low
cumpleaños.
Blow. That's a low blow.
Mala suerte, supongo. Bad luck, I guess. Felices.
Oh my
Venga,
God.
ciao.
Oh my God. A week off the weekly fixer Cracks. What can I say? I would say invite him to your property, but he's got enough people going there. I think I don't know how he's going to house what he's got going on that property coming up this week. Cracks, we love you. We will see you back with us very, very soon.
Love you too. Love you more. And by the way, a big up to everybody tuning in yet again tonight.
Crazy.
4,000.
Nearly 6,000. Nearly 6,000 are watching this live. 6,000.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Loads and loads of regular people in there. And I always like sitting and reading the comments. And there's some to see some regular contributors down the side there. So listen, this is why we
don't know that one. Don't know that one is.
Yeah, not that one. Yeah, he can do one. Him, honestly, he really can. Yeah, old McGovern. But as much as Richie's got Biscuit's legs, he's got Biscuit head him, ain't he?
Oh my God, I've got no words. Listen, we love you, Jace. We always love you, Jace. We love you. If I'm not texting him, I'm calling him and driving him mad. Jace, we love you. We're going to close with Patty. Patty, listen, mate, I said to you actually before, and you've not had the pleasure of being on here after a couple of really comprehensive wins, and it's lovely now to feel that we can just enjoy football. I mean, I'm sure you agree, Patty, these podcasts are effortless, aren't they, when we win? They're effortless when we win. And when we're losing, it's not easy. It's not something we probably all want to do, but I mean, if we don't have the support, I always say it, without the support of the viewers and listeners, the podcast wouldn't be the podcast. So we can't thank you enough. And I'm sure, Patty, you agree. Lovely to get that win in the manner we've done. And it's lovely to feel the way we're feeling right now, right?
Yeah, it's fantastic. And obviously, shout out to everyone in the comments. I know sometimes, like, you're not going to agree with everything I say. I'm not going to agree with everything people write in the comments, but we're all one family and we're all coming together, ideally for the greater good, and that's to see Spurs succeed. And I always, after a win, I always see people like little digs like, so Patrick, what are you saying about Ange now? Like, I'm saying good things about Ange. And obviously, I've not been Ange's biggest fan. There's been times where I've questioned him, questioned his tactics, his motives, his whatever you want to say. But of course, I want to see Ange do well because that means the team does well. And if the team does well, ideally, we're moving up the league and hopefully winning some sort of silverware. So, you asked the question about being on the Ange train. Yeah, at the beginning, I wasn't the biggest fan of who's driving it. But obviously, you get to know him, get to love him. He's a stubborn guy, a tough customer. But at the moment, it looks like the team has turned the corner and we're moving in the right direction. So long may it continue. But we all know football is a fickle world, and 1 week can be all good, as in this week. The next week could be all bad. So we just got to stay in. And, I'm not on the whole Ange in and Ange out. I do feel sometimes he could do better, but there's no point of chopping and changing all the time. We have to stick with someone and hopefully see it through, and hopefully we can grow together. And it looks like Ange has started to tweak and work his magic, and there will be bumps in the road. But yeah, I really hope that we can finish in the top 4 this year, and I really hope we can win the Europa. At the beginning of the season, I said 4th or 5th in the Europa League, and I'm still sticking with that. So, there's obviously 3 really, really good teams. We all know who they are. I don't need to name them. And why can't we be the 4th? And why can't we win the Europa? So that's what I want to see. I want to see players like Madison, Sarr, Bentancur, Basuma all get better. Dominic Solanke. Sonny's obviously probably, at his peak and maybe a bit past it. Not in a bad way, but just in terms of what we've seen him in the Spurs shirt. But all the rest of the guys are there to make a mark and to grow and to get better. So yeah, like let's just all come together. There's a lot of infighting on social media, so many Anginners and Ange-outers and all of that crap. But at the end of the day, we all want the best for Spurs. So that's where I am right now. And to beat
It's not
City
like
and
social
Villa,
media, is it, Pat? For there to be that sort of like people
exactly,
bickering and
that's it.
fighting.
It's
Is
mad.
that what
But
goes on social
I know
media?
honestly, it's crazy, and the whole point scoring thing. I've never been like that. At the end of the day, I want what's best for Spurs, and
Yeah, absolutely.
to beat Villa and City.
Nobody's not on the Ange train. Yeah, some people are sat in first class. Some of us are hiding in the loos, like avoiding the conductor. But we're all on it. Do you know what I mean? It's like we are
Yeah.
all on. Nobody wants him gone or to foul so that they can go, ha ha ha, told ya. Like, because
Well, some people do crack. Some people do. Some people
I know
do, but
it's
mad.
crazy,
It's mad.
but we're
Yeah.
like if he does well, Spurs do well, and this is
100%.
like
100%.
what we're all in
I've
it
always,
for. We're all just at different levels.
yep.
It's as simple as that.
And your honest point, I said this actually, the guys in the group, I said to them, I would love nothing more than all that criticism to be shoved in my face and Ange make me look an absolute idiot and prove me wrong. This is going to really, really amazingly work. And I mean, like, not top 4 work, I mean properly work. And that's not me setting an unfair barometer. But again, I want what's best for Tottenham. Those that have listened and watched this podcast over the last 7-8 years will always know we always get behind the players. We always get behind the whole team, the manager. And we've had enough of those managers. And I think, like I say, what we try and bring on this show is fair, honest opinions of real fans. I'm not saying nobody's real, but I'm saying that fans that go there week in, week out on the terraces that have their view on Tottenham. And look, everybody has got their right to an opinion. We all have one. And everybody's got their right to have an opinion. But again, I will make that point that we all want what is best for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. That's all we want. So look, I want to say again, can't thank you enough for all incredible support. Yes, we have lost Russ to technical issues. He'll be back with us very, very soon. Crackers is going on annual leave. Patty is back after Ipswich. Guys, we have been the last word on Spurs. Go and enjoy these next few days as we build up to Spurs being back in Europe. From Crackers, from Russ, from the superb Patty Tyrant. Guys, we've been the last word on Spurs. Keep safe, keep well. And as always,